I'm super excited to have you here. And I would love for you to just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you live, and what you do.
With Joan Fee, and I live on the beautiful central coast of California.
Mhm.
And I teach art and craft projects throughout the county, and it's my passion, it's my joy, and I'm just enjoying myself. And through Better, I'm enjoying myself more.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. I can't wait to dive in all of it. So you were telling me a little bit before we started about what you do, your background. Let's hear a little bit about that, what your passion
I've
is.
done everything. People are always shocked. I worked for the IRS, working with large corporations doing audits and things down in San Diego and Long Beach. When I worked down there, I was a Navy wife. And so we moved a little bit, but I thought I'd see the world, but we lived in California the whole time. And being a native Californian, I was hoping to go a little bit someplace else. But so then after that, he got out of the Navy and he wanted to work in aerospace. So we worked at Vandenberg Air Force Base. He was launching missiles. I was working in the support department, had a secret clearance, and was totally not up my alley. I was getting a business degree while I worked full time, and we just bought a new house. So we were doing the yard and all that fun stuff. So stresses started. And, back when I got married, this is part of my better health story is I weighed 163. So as stresses
And how
came
long
in,
ago was that?
1979.
Okay. All right. We're in
So
2021 right now.
yeah. So 40 some years later.
Yeah.
So stresses, Navy wife, just always been heavy. And so the weight started coming on as I had pressures on the job. Like I said, I had a secret clearance. I was handling secret data for all those missiles and things that were going up, going to school full time, getting our first house. And, health and exercise was not a priority. So then after 25 years, a divorce came. So I have then moved up to the central coast of California, and I'm just, I did forget that one part in there. After I was done with aerospace and got my degree, it's like, okay, what does life have to offer? It has to be more than sitting in an office doing what I'm doing. So one Saturday morning, I was watching television, taking some me time, drinking some tea, and on came a craft show. And come to find out, it was only 20 miles from where I lived. And I submitted a project idea, and they invited me to come onto the show to demonstrate it. And I was petrified. And that the weight is always an issue in your mind if you're overweight. That really messes with your self-esteem and stuff. So I really struggled with that. I struggled with it on television for 8 years. And it's the weight issue is tough. So right now I'm happy with where I'm at. But so did the craft industry, television shows, became the magazine editor.
Awesome.
It was many hats, again, very stressful. And since I took my passion of crafting and put it into work, it was no longer a passion for me. So I no longer had any kind of release. So I found other ways to do that.
Awesome.
So from there, that's when the divorce happened, and I went to work for another craft company. And after a while, I was done with that, and my parents owned this house that I was living in, and they were renting it out. And I'd come back from a vacation over here, and I said, Mom and Dad, if that house ever becomes available again, I would like first dibs on it. So 2 weeks later, I get the phone call from my mom that it's become available. So my life changed. It's been about 12 years ago. So now I teach art and craft classes throughout the county. So
love it.
It's just been I have to look at kind of my 9 lives over my life.
And it's kind of nice to be able to share it with people because you get to actually take a look at it, because we don't often do that, right? We don't think about.
I'll get out my resume for some very odd reason. It's like, wow, you just have to step back and look at the things you have accomplished in
You
your life.
have to.
I was
And
like,
even, I mean, it's so nice. A resume is so official, right? But when you get to
right,
share it with someone, you get to think about the personal things that you've overcome, that you've learned from.
right,
And then here you are. It's developed who you are
right.
now. And there's so many things I want to touch on from what you said.
Okay.
So, first of all, I love seeing the emotion in your face from, the excitement of what I really want to dive into is, you mentioned when you were working in media, the weight was a thing that
Mhm.
was, made you maybe self-conscious, didn't make you feel great. It sounds like you were still doing great in the industry. But what is the difference that you feel now just in your being and how you're showing up in the world, how you're showing up in your interactions, from the difference of, that person that that character that you were at that point
Character, that's exactly
versus,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
versus who you are now, because it's the same person, just two different beings. So what's the
And
difference you feel?
I'm a lot like a lot of people out there. I yo-yo dieted. I did really good. And then I gained back the like 35, 40 pounds.
Hmm.
And I lugged that around. But I always had to fake that smile. I always had to pep myself up before I went on TV because you're supposed to be smiley. You're supposed to be selling these people these products and these projects that you're creating. So
Hmm.
I struggled with that, and that became more of a stress factor for me. So then I would eat. I remember
Mm-hmm.
one day eating a bag of potato chips in between the segments that I did. It was just, that's the way I did it. That's the way I coped. And with
Hmm.
bad marriage, probably the same thing too. Lots of chocolate
Hmm.
and bad things. But so I I've only been on Better. This is my fourth week.
Hmm.
So I just feel so different. Eating all that junk food and that crap in my past, my stomach was always a hot mess. It
Hmm.
was, okay, how long can I be gone before I need a bathroom or whatever? It
Hmm.
was so, and I've never eaten that well. I mean, this is such a transition for me. I mean, all the fruits, all the vegetables, and Dr. Farrow mentioned about this 90% of your serotonin comes from your gut. I believe that because
Mhm,
even after like the first week, I'm going, oh, okay. And if
mhm,
my stomach is settled down, I'm going, okay, I can breathe. I can have fun.
mhm.
It's
And
just,
it's a beautiful thing that once you actually can learn that, you're more aware of it, and then you can connect the two. You can realize, plus it also makes you want to eat better because then you
right.
know, oh, when I'm putting better things in my belly, it's allowing more happy to literally be produced
Right.
inside of me.
Exactly. And just the foods are so good. It's like, I mean, I've been single a long time. It's like, I didn't cook this way before. It was like, okay, especially if I taught classes, it's like, okay, let's go pick up something on the way home instead of, oh, let's go grocery shopping. So yeah, I was not taking care of myself, and now it's taking care of myself. And the realization the first week, it was my mom's 88th birthday. So
Mhm.
you have to have birthday cake and a little ice cream with your mom, which I did, but I didn't overindulge. And
Mm,
it was a treat. And I slowed down and I looked at it as,
mm,
this is a treat. This is not something that you have every day in your life, which was something I was doing throughout my life. So I'm anxious to get my A1C down and things like that. But I am at this very moment, I was married in 1979, and
mhm.
I am 3 pounds from my weight when I was in 1979.
I love that.
So I'm excited about that. And like I said, the stressors, I probably started gaining weight within 6 months of when I got married.
Mhm.
So I have never been in this weight range for
Yeah.
40 years.
And now you
So
have new tools. I mean, because you've
right.
obviously grown emotionally, mentally. So now you're back at this weight, but you're also, it sounds like your mindset's a little different
Mhm.
around it. So how do you feel that Better has kind of helped you see a different mindset when it comes to food, when it comes to eating? Because you mentioned, like looking at the cake and not really needing to indulge in all of it, but allowed yourself to enjoy it. So how do you feel like better health has helped you reframe the way you've seen so far? I mean, just so
So
far in your program.
the prep work, because if I was teaching classes now, which I'm not, but have that available in the fridge. So you go, oh, I've got those awesome sloppy joes at home. I can add tomatoes on the side or something else, and I'm ready to go. Instead of stopping at McDonald's and getting a hamburger and French fries and a soda, it's like, okay, I'm prepared. I know that something is there waiting for me. And I'm also looking at it. It's better. It's not perfect, Dr. Farrow said. And it's very true. It's like, okay, when I am able to see my mom here in a month, I'm going to go take us, our favorite ice cream from a local old creamery that's been in business over 100 years. And we're going to enjoy that.
I love
but
that.
I'm not going to indulge in it. So, I've discovered, say, like a new little produce company right down the street from me that does organic. I'm going, okay, I'd been in there once before, but now it's just, oh my gosh, fruit and just tastes so awesome. It's like there's no sugar craving anymore. It's like, oh, this apple is really awesome. And it's also the stopping and slowing down and actually tasting it and chewing it and being mindful of the food. So that's a big deal for me, especially the person who was on the iPad or checking her to-do list as she was sitting there eating lunch. So
yeah. I love that. It sounds like you've taken away a lot of good things, especially from Dr. Farrow, which he shares a ton of great information, but that better, not perfect, that is a huge thing. I mean, that's one of those things, it sounds like for you, it was where you hear something that you've maybe heard a million other times in a million other ways, but it just kind of clicks at a certain point. And it's just like, wow, that's giving me permission to just eat, to not have to make it a chore, to not have to make it a this or a that. But now I actually want to learn a new way. I want to really just, it's easy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could just be better.
And the recipes are so simple. I'm one of these cooks. If it has more than like 5 ingredients, I'm like done. But I mean, the sloppy joes, I mean, you put in the 5 ingredients or whatever, you have the Italian seasonings that are all together. And in a few minutes you have that. And I make enough so that I can freeze it and just, go, okay, I've got that in there. I can have that next week too.
Yeah. So you feel like so far you've learned a lot about kind of organization and learning how to prep.
Yes, absolutely. And you buy one of those big tubs of lettuce, those will last you a week. And it's like, okay, I don't have to think about that. I just have to serve it and put some protein on it and another, side and stuff. And it's kind of like a no-brainer, not a whole lot of thought process to it. Once you get into it, it's intimidating in the beginning. Before I start, it's like, oh, holy cow, this is a lot of information. But once you get into it, it's like, okay, this makes sense now. But a lot of things, I'm diabetic, and about a year and a half ago, my A1C was 8.1, I believe. So scared me, been trying to get it down for the last year. So that's my goal. And a lot of myths, a lot of information I had about diabetes, that don't eat oranges, don't eat bananas, don't eat pasta. Well, we're not eating pasta yet, but just so many. And the orange juice, the adrenal drink, I'm going, okay, but my numbers are doing fine. So I'm excited about it. I mean, all these myths are just kind of getting blown out of the water for me as a diabetic.
That's awesome. That's great. And it's kind of about just focusing on one thing, right? Instead of, there's so much information in the world. So when you can just focus on one thing, do one thing, and then just try that one thing, then it kind of clears the way. And that's the great thing about Betr, is that we actually are clearing the way, right? Like we're clearing your system. We're creating more just openness in it so that you can explore what you can actually have and what actually works for you, rather than just reading it in a book and thinking, oh no, I can't have that ever again.
Something that I'm so surprised about is the anxiety and the stress level going so way down. Again, I think it's my gut. And I had three kind of major things happen last week. My computer, like I spilled a glass of water on it, and so it fried it. So then my computer guy wasn't available for a week. Normally I'd be freaking out going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And it's just like, oh, okay. And so it was a nice relaxing week because I didn't have a computer and I
That's a
couldn't get any of
huge
the work
thing.
done.
That's a huge thing.
And then I fell. It's just kind of like, okay, get yourself up, make sure you haven't broken anything, make sure you're not bleeding anywhere. And it's just like, okay, go sit on the couch. And then I saw my mom one day, and I felt as though she was giving up at 88. And that just really weighed on my heart. But I have since talked to her, and she's fine. She just must have had a really, really bad day. But it's like those stressors is just kind of, I don't know, see a little bit more logically, a little bit more clearly that things are going to be okay. And
Yes.
I was a very anxious person, like doing TV. It was like the night before, I was a hot mess. I'm just going, okay, calm yourself down. You can do this. But it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So when's the last time you can say that you felt that way?
I don't remember. I really don't.
So
And
it's almost like a new version of yourself you're seeing.
It's funny because they people say, oh, they're searching for happiness or whatever. I think my happiness was in my gut and eating well and taking care of myself.
Yeah. And well, like you mentioned, it's like you can see more clearly, you can feel more clearly. So once your gut is more clear, right, then you can see more clearly. It's like, it doesn't need, and I mean, I totally understand that. And I'm sure many of the listeners will understand that feeling of, like you mentioned, when you were doing the TV appearances, when you ate a bag of chips in between, it's almost like a cover upper, right? It's like, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to feel this. I just want to tune out. I just want to tune out. But we want to do that because our gut is so messy. We don't even know, it's like, oh, how do I clean it? Right.
Right.
But with Betr, it's been like, right, when you do 3 days, how did you feel after the first 3 days?
Yeah. The day number 2, very lethargic. And I just drank more water and talked to my coach and stuff. And then after that, it's like, holy cow. I mean, my energy is incredible. I've been waking up earlier, going to bed at the same time, but waking up earlier and just going throughout the day. Going. And I shouldn't say cheated, but I started walking because I couldn't take it, because I've been walking basically, I don't know, last 20, 30 years, but more so in the last year. So it's like, okay, I don't want to lose that momentum. So I did that, and I'd go for a walk, and it's a life changer. And I'm not here to, but it really is. I'm amazed. And your happiness, I mean, it's like, okay, there is happiness in life, because most of my life I haven't seen that. So maybe hope, I don't know, fun, doing stuff for myself. Never took myself as a priority. I was always too busy. So
wow.
And
I can hear it in your voice. I can see it in your being. I can see that you're almost like taking back your power. And that's a huge thing. And that's crazy to think about. Just food can do that for you, right? Like, we are humans. How does food take us over, right? But just something as simple as changing your gut.
I mean, adding in
healing your
vegetables.
gut. And so what is the difference then? What are the results that you've seen from other things that you've done, like other programs you've tried or other diets you've tried? What was the trend you kind of saw after?
Probably 30 years ago, I did Atkins keto today. It did very well. My ex and I did it together. We did very well. I kept that off a very long time. In fact, I was on TV and I kept on getting letters. What are you doing? What's your program? How are you? And then, life got in the way, stressors, and gained, I had weighed 250 pounds at my highest. So being down 85 pounds is like And I'm thinking, I keep on looking on the internet, what does a like 12-year-old child weigh? And it's like, I got a 12-year-old child that I had carried around all those years
Wow, that's
attached to me.
crazy to
You
think
think
about.
that weight, and I'm going,
Yeah.
how did I do that? I'm
Mhm.
just thinking, no wonder I was tired. No wonder I was fatigued. But junk food and stuff was my family norm.
Mm.
So it was just always a way of life and a way of coping.
Mhm.
But
So do
what was
you
your
think that, moving forward, right? Like you said, you kept it off for a while with the Atkins diet, but then life got in the way. How can you see that, if the same circumstances were to happen down the road, how can you see that your reaction changing this time?
reaction changing? Let me back up just a tiny bit. So I gained some weight back on keto, kept that off a long time, years. And
Mhm.
then last year for 6 months, I did keto and I
Mhm.
dropped probably 15 pounds. But then for 6 months, I stayed at the same weight. I
Mhm.
didn't realize, I mean, I was eating the food, too much of the diabetic chocolate, probably, but I stabilized and I couldn't go down.
Mhm.
So that's when the Better Health program came along. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And I expected adding in all the fruits and all of that stuff that I would gain weight immediately, but
Mm.
I did not. And I enjoyed it so much. I think I have the tools now
Mm.
to move forward in the future. In fact, my mom, 88 years old, as soon as I have all my shots, then I'm
Mhm.
going to go and stay with her for like a month. And I thought, she has horrible headaches and they can't figure out what it is. So I'm thinking, I wonder if we could go on level 1 for even a couple of weeks and see if she feels better.
Yeah, you're turning
And
into your own
I,
coach.
the thing is, I don't even think she'd realize it.
Mhm.
Because the oranges, the apples, maybe she'd have a cookie or two here and there.
Mhm.
But I think I have the tools,
Yeah.
and they're normal tools. They're healthy tools. The things I've done in the past are not healthy. Slim
Mhm.
fast, all protein. They just weren't healthy. So this, I'm just flabbergasted that I'm eating salads 2 times a day and vegetables 2 times a day and all
Mhm.
fruits and
But you have the balance, it sounds like. I mean, and moving forward, you'll be able to have the balance because your system and your body is just going to want natural food that natural humans should naturally want.
and I did the night and the morning after I had that cake and ice cream with my mom,
Mhm.
I didn't feel good.
Yeah, you
So
notice
that
the
was like week
difference.
1 and I'm just
Yeah.
going, okay, I don't need this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah,
You change your mind. Yeah, because you
right.
realize how you want to feel.
Mhm.
But you don't know how you want to feel until you feel
Right.
it. And sometimes, you know, other diets, there's so many diets in the world. And sometimes they can be kind of like cover uppers, right? Almost like taking Tylenol. You take the Tylenol, you cover up your fever, but then it comes back. So really, I mean, diets should be, I mean, there's such a thing that they're sold, right? Sold to people like, oh, this works, that works. But really what they should be is just, relearning, and then being able to see a new way and then see clearly.
Right. And the programs made it so easy. Like I said, the cooking, you can batch cook, freeze it, buy a big thing of lettuce and add
Mhm.
in a few things, and it's kind of a no-brainer.
So what are some of your other favorite recipes? I'm
My
curious
favorite,
what you've
I
loved cooking.
love too much actually, the beef satay,
Okay, saute.
satay. Love that. Just the flavors of it.
Hmm.
Sloppy joes, love that. A lot of times I just make it into a salad because it is too sloppy.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
And then the orange chicken. I mean, I just do a whole big thing of that. And
People love that one,
mhm.
the orange chicken.
So yeah, I mean, those are 3 basics. So I
What do
promised
you
my
like to
coach.
have for breakfast? I'm curious.
And this being diabetic, doing
Mhm.
keto,
Uh-huh.
I always woke up, had sausage, eggs, and that was probably it. Occasionally I might like slice up some zucchini, saute it a little bit, put it in there to think I'm eating healthy. So that was usually about 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not eating breakfast until about 10 now. So I'm going, there was a whole fight thing. I mean, I have to eat fruit, and I can't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a struggle. I was very surprised. I had told myself over the years, you have to have breakfast because otherwise you start to get queasy and all of that.
But were you drinking water first thing in the morning before?
I drink, and actually organic black tea.
Okay.
That's my caffeine thing.
Yeah.
But usually a little medley, apples, blueberries, a couple of strawberries. I live at, the fruit basket of the world, basically. So I'm fortunate to have all that good stuff around.
Yeah.
So that's breakfast, usually just the, little medley. And when I go for my walk at about 2 to 3, halfway through, I'm able to stop and go sit on a rock and actually taste and enjoy my break. I put my apple on my knee and take a picture of it for my coach. And so and that one of the things that I have wanted to do for a long time is just kick back and relax. And since I do live in a beach community, one of my goals was to just go sit on the beach for 15 minutes or half an hour. I have ADHD, so that was not in my realm of possibilities because I'm always on the go, always going on to the next thing. So now I take my snack, and that is kind of my little fun time, sitting for half an hour on the beach and eating my apple and then going on my way.
That's
so
great.
That's been another kind of eye opener. It's like, okay, take time for yourself. Doing that half hour sitting on the beach did great things for your mind and your soul, and that stuff will still be at home waiting for you to do.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier the food prep being a big thing that was a game changer for you. So, and that has to do with like discipline and planning. And a lot of times it's like, we don't want to do that because we want to be flexible. But, you being able to do that is also showing you, hey, I can pave out time for myself. I can pave out time for this. The world isn't going to end. It's going to be okay. Right. There's time.
The prep day, I'm not real big on that because I like to cook. And so I'll cook like 3-4 different recipes throughout the week, and then I'll have the leftovers. So there isn't a whole lot of prep for me. And like I said, I have the big bulk salads and cherry tomatoes, and that's your salad, and saute up some vegetables. So it's, I kind of like that whole
it's
process.
Finding what works for you. Yeah.
Right,
I mean, you're given tools, and then you can kind of like pave your way with them. And then you have your coach. So tell me a little bit about how you've loved working with your coach.
She's awesome. Actually, we have become friends.
Oh,
so it's quite nice. You can cut this out if you need to. She's planning a trip out here in a couple of months, and so I'm going to show her some hiking trails and stuff.
I love that. That's awesome.
So she used to work in ceramics, so we had that in common and stuff.
Yeah,
so
wow.
It's very nice to have that personal connection too.
Yeah, yeah.
But the guidance, and I love my nuts. So I saw them on the list. I'm going, oh, okay, nuts. So I didn't realize they were an energy booster. So I was just having nuts, a couple of times a day, going, oh, okay. Because before I'd eat cup, maybe go back for some more. And so she just reminded me that those are energy boosters for when you're exercising. So lovely little hints like that, and just a nice little good morning message in the morning, or good job, or so very supportive. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's a support and accountability. And I love that she reminds you of that too. And also, I mean, it's kind of do what works for you, right? You know that they're energy boosters. And you said you like to move a lot, but also it sounds like you're liking to move a lot more now that you have the energy to move.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. And COVID has put a spin on this, and that I'm housebound most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's put a twist on this. And this is something that I've been talking to my coach about, because
Mhm.
I am a little concerned when I'll say I have my freedom again. I really need to keep that mindset, instead of, like we were talking about earlier, instead of just stopping by McDonald's.
Mhm.
And it's interesting when I'm out meeting some customers and things. Yeah, I'll go to McDonald's, I'll pick up an iced tea, but
Mhm.
usually it'd be, oh, let's get a little ice cream cone or something like that, or let's pick up, and they don't have salads anymore.
Mhm.
So I I just need to keep up that making batch meals and stuff, that it works for me, so that I know that it's available.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's keeping yourself full with other things so that you aren't really craving the other things. You don't really need
Right.
them.
And I, craving sweets a couple of times, then I do the apple sprinkled with the lemon juice and a little bit of cinnamon. And I'm like dabbing the apple into the cinnamon, going, oh, that's good. So it's just it's the little things. But the cravings, I mean, it's only happened once or twice, and it
Mhm.
went away.
Mhm. But also,
But
you know what that makes me think too is you had the space, right? We've been talking about space, like you had the space to allow it to go away. It's not like you're just going to dive into it, because you actually have the space to think, I don't actually want that. I don't need it right now. But if you did
and
want it, whatever, you'll have it.
six, 6 months ago, or 6 months, 6 weeks ago, I was still doing keto. I've got some supposedly low carb, somewhat good for you chocolate candy bars in my pantry. Haven't even thought of them. I've moved them out of the way to get to something else, but it's like, I don't need that.
That's a huge accomplishment. That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. So
I
I,
love it.
I'm excited. I'm thankful. I'm
Mhm.
grateful.
Mhm. I'm excited for you. You have a lot to just look forward to, I think, for yourself. I mean, because
Oh yeah.
you're meeting a whole new version of yourself.
Yep.
And I mean, this is the first time, right? You said in 40 years that you have been back at this weight. But again, now you're at this weight with a whole new version of you,
Right.
different tools that you now have under your belt. And it's really exciting. So I'm curious what information, what advice you would give to someone who is just starting out the program, that might feel a little skeptic, a little scared.
Trust. Trust that it's going to work. I know it's hard. Like I said, I was diabetic. I thought no oranges, no bananas. I get my first banana in a long, long time on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that. But or apples even. I mean, my numbers would skyrocket. And so I just eliminated those, but I'd have chocolate and stuff. So my mindset was totally wrong. So trust. Don't be overwhelmed, because it'll all fall into place the first few days.
Mhm.
Maybe get 1, 2, 3 recipes that you really like. Start from there and then go on from there. But trust. And the drinking orange juice. Orange juice was not a part of my life for years and years, because
Mhm.
it would supposedly spike my sugar.
Mm.
So yeah, trust and don't be overwhelmed, because it does get easy. Now it's just kind of like, okay, I know I have that sloppy Joe stuff for when we're
Mhm.
done. I've got some romaine lettuce. Let's go put that together for lunch.
Love
So
it.
little
Awesome.
prep and you're on your way.
Well, you are going to be so helpful for other people. Just them hearing this, they're going to be like, we love you, Joan. Thank you. I want to ask one more thing that we're going to ask everyone at the end of these interviews. So if someone were to come up to you, just a random stranger in an elevator or at the beach, and they were to say, Joan, how do I live better? How do I live better? What advice would you give them? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Eat better, incorporate vegetables, incorporate fruit, because when you have those, then you're not going to need all this junk stuff. The organic beef and I never bought anything organic in my life, I don't think. And so it's just, you taste things now. If you
Mm.
have the right fruits and vegetables and meats, life is just coming open because of the food choices I'm making.
I love that. I'm so excited for you. I'm so happy for you. You
Thank
have so
you.
much to look forward to, and just right
Yes,
now you're living it. So I'm so excited for you. Thank you so much, Joan, for sharing all
you're
of
welcome. Thank you.